Welcome to UX Patter Season 3, where I, Dushyant Kanungo, talk to the leaders in the design field about their journey and what inspires them to be the best. I also touch upon the aspects of the industry such as jobs, trends, and challenges, to name a few. This podcast is presented by Galaxy UX Studio and powered by Galaxy Weblinks, an Inc. 5000 company. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Dushyant Kanungo, with another episode of the UX Panther podcast. Today, we have a guest who is an artist, educator, and innovator, all wrapped into one. Whether he's teaching, designing courses, jamming up with his metal band, or making stunning oil paintings, his creative spirit knows no bounds. With over 22 years of experience, he brings his expertise in user-centered design and Shopify brands to deliver exceptional experiences. His commitment to innovation and collaboration has led him to work with renowned brands like Nestle, Samsung, and Discovery Channel. Please welcome our guest today, the design lead at DIFF, Jarek Kucharczyk.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Dushyant. It's nice to be here. That's a great introduction. I didn't expect that. It's a great summary of my career. I would just add to it. Most of all, I'm just normal guy, a father of two. I live my I guess boring life in Montreal. And I'm happy to be here.
Just by the introduction, I mean, you do a lot of stuff. You are a family man as well. So how do you juggle all the things together?
You know, it's definitely difficult with small children. I'm not gonna lie. I have a daughter, which she is now 11, and she's a super easy child. But then 4 years old, we had a son. We have a son, and he is a total. I don't know how to describe him, but you need 4 pairs of eyes to be aware what's going on in your house, and he's everywhere, doing everything and doing some very dangerous things. So we have to be very careful. So with saying that, it's really like something called life and work balance. It sounds easier than it is. That depends a lot on what is your personal life looks like. Like with small children, it's definitely more difficult. So for me, currently, I'm in the phase of looking after my son a lot.
You are from Poland and now you live in Montreal, Canada. So how has the journey been like? I mean, how did you started off in your career and how you ended up where you are at the moment?
Yeah, so to be honest, from as far as I remember, I knew I want to be an artist. And I remember when I was a child, I was just looking at other people's works and trying to replicate it, even if I was since I remember, really. And I always knew I'm gonna be an artist, and I did it. I went to artistic high school, then I went to art academy, and I didn't know much about design at this point. What I knew is it's hard to be an artist and live from art. And then I came across design by friends I met in the art academy. Some of them were already working in the industry, in the design industry, and they pulled me into that, really. And then I got just really fascinated with it. And I discovered I'm good in it. So yeah, I did a bunch of things. I really started as a photographer. I was doing photo shooting of food, and then I started making the catalogs with that food, and the ball kept rolling. I got more and more work, design related work, and so that's led me to I became an art director, then the creative director in advertising agencies. That was really 15 years, I think, of my life, advertising agencies. And then I decided that there's not much else I can do in that realm. I couldn't really see what else I can do, how far I can go with this skill set in this country. So me and my wife, we decided, let's change everything. Let's make a huge step and let's move to Canada. And that's what we did. I went to college. I studied design and development program at George Brown College in Toronto. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got in touch with professors that they later on they invited me to teach at the same college. Yeah, I'm working now in the e-commerce design agency. So yeah, that's my path, I guess.
There's always a cultural context with people who are in the design field. Now, you have been a career designer, you studied art and everything. What is the cultural context of traveling and knowing the other things which are happening in two different worlds, Europe and North America? There is always going to be some gaps that you can actually bring your sensibilities from how people are operating or behaving around the user experience of software or any other product you're developing, and now you are there. So is there any learnings that you think that help you with regards to the cultural context, adding the cultural context to the solutions?
Yeah, definitely. I take a lot from the European experiences that I had. Honestly, when I came to Canada, and that was the biggest surprise for me, because I was expecting like very advanced technologies, and yes, they exist here, but they are not implemented so intensely, I would say, as in Europe. Like, I feel like Europe is a little bit more, people get used to technology more, and they feel more comfortable with technology. So at the same time, we can, as designers, we can give them more advanced solutions more often. Where I feel like in Canada, and I'm not sure about United States, probably that's going to be another different story, but in Canada, I feel like there's so much to improve, there's so much to do, that honestly, when we just came to Canada, I was excited about the amount of opportunities, amount of work that I saw that needs to be done here.
I think it has majority to do with that, because whenever we think about Canada, everybody just talk about either Montreal or Toronto or the urban areas, but they always fail to mention that it's a huge country with a majority of Canada which falls under the rural side of things. I mean, if you talk about anything which is further north or in the central Canada or western Canada, I think there is always going to be a huge number of people who are still coping up with the tech, the connectivity, and then so that context actually is quite different from densely populated areas. So maybe the same thing you can see if you're designing something for, say, central US states or Midwest, there is always going to be a certain amount of simplification that you have to build in. So designs that we are selling for New York are always going to be different from what you sell at in Silicon Valley, because the understanding and the adoption is always going to be that case, which varies between the two countries. So on the same note about the variance which is coming in, you come from the art and design, art background, and now you are into the digital design. What is the UX overlap that you see?
With art, the UX overlap with art is definitely, if it comes to the problem, that UX design is, the goal is to solve problems, where art is really to expose problems. So there is this connection. Also, if it comes to the design thinking or design, of thinking about the solutions, I would always advise to every designer to go big with your ideas. There's no such a thing as a bad idea. At the moment when you're ideating, there's no such a thing as bad idea, because something considered bad idea may lead you to another idea, may inspire better solutions. So I always advise, put everything on the paper, think big, think impossible. And it's not really just about art kind of a thinking, when you're thinking like abstract and thinking about things impossible. Think of, like, take Einstein. He came up with his theories. He developed a process called experiments, which is thinking about something impossible because there is no way to make it reality. But just because he's thinking about it, he's able to come with some incredible ideas and solutions. And I find that, so there's another overlap, science, art, and design, where the common factor is that thinking outside of the box, thinking about what it takes really to make things happen.
That's very interesting take on the subject. And I do believe that design thinking always starts with not just trying or thinking about it, what is possible, but what is the best solution there could be, and then applying the sensibilities of the feasibility or the general capacity of the team that you have or the resources that you have at hand. But I think it is amazing to just reverse engineering the solution that can best fit the entire scale of the solution that we are talking about. All right, so with that, I have my UX banter flashcards, which are rapid fire. So here there are a few questions which will help us know more about you.
Okay.
All right. So
Let's
you ready?
go. Yeah.
So are you stay in person or dine out?
Out. Definitely out.
All right. So do you cook?
I do.
What
I
is your
do.
to be?
I like to experiment, honestly, as you can tell from my art background. So I just experiment a lot. I don't think there's one dish that I mastered really, because every time I do it differently.
All right. So sunrise or sunsets?
Sunrise. I like
And you
mornings a lot.
and you are able to manage sunrises, because for me it's like I love sunrises, but never actually catch one unless I'm up all night and seeing one. But
Uh, yeah, I mean, I really enjoy sleeping, but I sleep well when it's dark. That means when the sun rises, I wake up immediately, and this is the most productive time for me in the morning time. So this is where I do some of my work, where I have time before my family wake up. I have time for myself really to do some my own personal projects or just chill out really. But I really love that period of a day when I'm just there alone with the rising sun and my coffee.
all right. So the next question is books or movies?
Both. It's difficult for me to choose. I love really storytelling, I would say, and the medium is secondary.
All right. So your favorite film?
Donnie Darko, I think.
I like that too. It's an amazing film.
It is. It's very weird at the same time. I like things that are not straightforward. And the book, I think I'm gonna say books by Donna Tartt. Donna Tartt, she writes not she wrote just 3 books, I think. I'm pretty sure and each of these books, it took her like 10 years to write, but they all are very packed with emotions, with anxiety. So this is another thing that I love. I love emotions. And this is also a reason why I'm excited about experience design, because a lot of this is based on emotions. We really want to evoke emotions in the user.
Okay. Window or aisle seat?
Window, definitely. Yeah, I live in clouds on a daily basis.
And do you get to sit on the window seat all the time with wife and 2 kids? I think
Yeah, no, it's difficult with kids especially. Yeah.
your favorite holiday destination is?
My favorite holiday destination is wherever I haven't been yet.
No?
Yes, I just like to see different things every time.
Right. So any trips planned for the
When I,
coming
when
year?
I when I was a kid, I loved seaside in Poland, but that's only because I had an uncle there, and it was just easy, convenient. I could spend 2 months there. But honestly, now uh, I just want to see the world. So now, because I'm still new to Canada, I'm exploring areas here. I moved from Toronto to Montreal 2 years ago, so now we're exploring the area around Montreal in Quebec. So the next trip will be actually this weekend. We're going to Quebec City.
There about this time of the year. I think fall colors are amazing in Canada. And when fall comes, I mean, all of a sudden my feed starts filling up with friends posting photos from the city, and the Instagram is amazing. So yeah, I can totally understand. It's a beautiful place to be, and I'd like to definitely make my holidays sometime in Canada. But hopefully, fingers crossed, that will happen.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot to explore. It's a huge country.
all right. So with that, I'm going to put my cards back. And we learned a lot about you, and I hope that it gives you some time to retrospect about all the things which are going on in parallel. Um, so we were just talking about that. You started as a student, and then you are now exploring the community side of things. And you really like to interact with people who are coming in from the different backgrounds, but in the same industry and domain. So how is it, is working in Montreal? Why do you think that the networking and everything is a key part in as a designer, and why do we want to make sure that the conversations stay relevant?
I would say it's not just relevant to designers, but to every creative person, and I mean, to every person that likes to interact with other creators. I used to do a lot of stuff. I was in bands since I was 14, I think. So this is collaborating with other people is in my blood. It's something that I feel like it's the most effective way to do some incredible things, to just to take from each other some inspiration and create something together. In Montreal, I'm still looking for those collaborations. I'm like you already know, I'm drawn towards art and design. I like doing a bunch of different things. So honestly, every time I meet new person, my first thought is, what can we do together? Let's create something new. This is majority of my conversations.
Yeah, I mean, on the same note, the question comes to beg, which is, um, remote working for designers, do you
Mm.
think that it is, less productive than going back to office, working from home? How is it that impacting in the creative side of things and the solution that people are coming up with? I mean, my company is 100% remote, but we do meet about 3 times a year, 4 times a year. We have uh, a resort, the company resort where we go, and
Mm.
it's always one team or the other over the weekends who stay there and they just hang out. But that is the only time that we spend, rather than the rest of the it is all completely done remotely, and we are doing it quite well for the last 4 years now, since COVID. Um, so do you think that there is a big difference in the attitude or approaches, or do you think that the in-person association could still bear better results than what we are getting out of the remote engagements?
I believe, honestly, it's a matter of adoption, and I can tell from experience, working for already 2 years remotely. And before that, majority of my clients, our interactions were online as well. So honestly, it's kind of a natural progression where we start to embrace the digital tools more and more, so that this interaction became more natural, even though it's through the screen of the computer. And a lot in terms of the creativity and that bouncing ideas of each other, a lot depends on the person that facilitates that conversation. It's always the most important person. It doesn't matter if this is a digital environment or a meeting in the room. We need someone to drive the conversation, to create that foundation for discussion, for creative discussion. And then once we got to that point, then it goes easy, I think.
Clear communication becomes the core aspect of the working together or the working environment.
Yeah, definitely. Also working with students now, I teach also online. So I started when the pandemic hit, but now I still continue teaching online, even mostly because I moved to Montreal and I still teach in Toronto. That's the real reason. Would I go to in-person teaching? Yes, I would do that, because I like the whole mess that is connected with the school environment, the chaos, the movement of people. I like that, and this is something I'm missing, honestly. But office is different, because when you go to the office, it's usually quiet. People are working in their rooms or cubics or whatever, and then only in the I don't know, coffee break, there's more social situations, or I don't know, in the situations of some internal meetings or whatever. But that's the big difference between the school and the actual working experience. It's that level of focus, I guess.
So when you, as you said that you still teach online and the courses that you have, can you please tell us more about that? What do you teach, and what are the subject areas? And
I teach 3 courses. One is called 2D Visualizations, which is really fundamentals of visual design. The other one is information design, so everything related to data, how to collect data, how to interpret that and visualize it, and take conclusions from it. And third one is physical interfaces, this one is very interesting because it's a merge between digital and physical world. We tend to think big in terms of big installations. It's very often related to art as well, which I really love, and I'm always encouraging my students to go that route. So physical interfaces is basically how do you interact with digital space very often without screen, so using sensors maybe, or some other technology. So a course packed with technology, honestly.
These days, those sort of art installations are, popping up around the world. I was, I think, in Philips Museum in Eindhoven, Netherlands, and I saw one where all the things of the data that you are actually looking at, it was derived from the sensors which are collecting your data, and then now you are part of the installation, the way it was being displayed. So totally understand. So where can somebody, if they wish to learn more about the subject that you teach, can get in touch with you or join these courses?
I would advise going to George Brown College. That's georgebrown.ca for more information about the design courses. My program is called Interaction Design. If it comes to my own work, you can visit Jarek Designer. It's spelled JAREK designer.com. You can see some of my projects there, and get in touch with me through the website. Yeah, that's probably the best way.
Right. All right. And on that note, because you are being a teacher, and you get to interact with a lot of young minds to shape them up with the future, what is your advice would be to someone who is just starting out their career in the design field? What are the things that they should keep in mind to follow through a journey for like next 10 years or 15 years? What advice would you give to them?
My main advice is don't kill any idea because you think it's bad. That's I'm coming back to the same thing that I said before, but this is super important, and it happens very often when either if I look at my students or even in the industry, people tend to kill ideas too quick before they explore the potential variants of that idea, and be brave. Honestly, this is a key to success. Be bold with your ideas. Think of impossible, and then think how to get there.
It's amazing. I mean, the advice that you just gave, I think, is one of the things which, when I was studying, I did my graduation from Bristol in UK, and we had the professor Daniel Buzzo. I think in season one, I recorded a session with him as well, one episode for the Banter podcast. He now teaches at the university in I think in Berlin, that he Code University Berlin, that where he teaches. He lives in Amsterdam. So when I asked him, like, as a teacher, what is the next big thing that we should start learning, or what is going to be the tech idea that we should focus on? And the professor just said, like, you tell me, because you are the ones who are going to be creating it. You are the one going to be creating a new service industry. You are going to be experimenting with ideas and designs which are going to be the next works of art that people are going to refer, like 20 years from now. They'll look back in a retrospective, and they will look at that what the people or the designers from early 20th century were designing. So
Yeah.
that becomes a benchmark. I mean, we, without realizing that everything that we are creating, we look at 90s designs now. We looked at early 2000 designs. And now what we are creating, it is definitely going to be a part of a showcase. I mean, sooner or later. And the only thing which is keeping us from becoming that benchmark generation is not being brave enough. And I think his ideas resonated with what you just said. So I can just, I'm completely thrilled by the advice that you gave. So anybody or everyone, whoever is listening, make sure that you follow through. It's a very good advice, and it is definitely going to help you in your career and in a longer run. I mean, as the industry is evolving and growing from webmaster to web designer to the UX and product designers and all the big names. And now there's the destination called Chief Information Officer. Now, things are just changing and evolving at such a pace that nobody could saw that this could be a real job about 25 years ago. I mean, there were some people who were doing it, but as in the wide amount of the community sizes, the people everywhere, whoever is interacting with one another, is quite different. So with that, Jarek, I thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Darshan. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
And I hope that you get a lot of messages and community people in Montreal to get in touch with you after the podcast. And you can find Jarek over LinkedIn as well. So we are also going to tag him with the episode, as we are going to share it over LinkedIn and other social media. So please feel free to get in touch and see what you guys can create together. Excited to learn more about it in the future. So thank you very much, and you all have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.